All right, so number 8 for chapter 4 for homework. Calculating interest earned and the future value of a savings account. I think we're on page 159. So it's asking us, and again, just to sort of reiterate what we're talking about chapter 4, we're working with how we manage our cash, money market accounts, mutual funds, CDs, calculating interest. We're talking about the difference between things compounding quarterly versus annually. And this one is saying if you put $6,000 in a savings account that pays interest at the rate of 4%, compounded annually, how much will you have in 5 years? So my first question is, could you actually do that manually? Sure you could. Is that the most expedient way to do it? No, because we've got those future value tables. That's what we use those for. So is this an annuity or a lump sum? I think it's a lump sum. So if I go to future value of a lump sum, where am I? Is this not the, sorry. If I go to, you're like, I don't know where you are. If you go to future value of a lump sum out of the back of the book, where are, isn't this number 8?
Yeah, it is in the book. I think you just labeled it wrong on the sheet.
I'm sorry?
I think it's labeled as number 7.
Oh, I gotcha. All right. I don't know why that is. Okay. So at any rate, we went and pulled, is this the factor you pulled, the 1.2166? Okay, great. So in 5 years, I should have about $7,300. Yes, sir?
So is that number calculated with doing that math above?
It is. So if I wanted to exponentiate it, is that what you're asking up here?
Yeah.
Like I could take 6,000 plus 1 plus 0.04 and exponentiate it to the 5th, and that's exactly what that factor is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So same.
Would that always be the case?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what those tables are, is it's done all that math for you.
Right.
And then I think the second question, they asked for 5 years, or no, I'm sorry, for 5%. And what's the factor if we have 5%? Did it ask for 5%? No, it said how much will you earn during the 5 years, how much interest. I think you'll earn the $1,300, right? Is the amount of interest you earn. And then they're asking if you put $6,000 a year into your savings account, that's an annuity, what are you going to have? And it looks, is this the number you got? Did you get the same number out of the calculator with the, okay, because sometimes there's a little bit of rounding.
I got $2 off.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm not 100% sure why that happens. I think that our tables only go out to 4 decimal places, and when you actually exponentiate, that the rates can go out to way more than that. So future value of an annuity, 4%, 5 years. I think they asked us to use 5.416, right? Is that what you got? $6,000 times 5.416, 32,496. Yeah, it was off by $2. So whatever. I mean, as long as you're in there. So I think for that one, give yourself a point for each of them. A point if you got 7,300. A point if you got 1,300 for the interest. And a point if you got 32,496 approximately for the future value of the lump sum. And then,
It was the same thing with part A too, the total of SPL.
yeah, that's okay. That's just rounding. Again, I think it's because these decimal places only go out to 3 in the tables. And then again, yeah, these must be off by 1 because this is 9. It said, describe some of the short-term investment vehicles that can be used to manage your cash resources. and it asks, what would you focus on if you were concerned about inflation? So what would you be concerned with, or what would you be looking at if you were concerned with inflation? Would you look at a CD or a money market? Would that make you feel safe? What's the rate of inflation roughly? Yeah, 2.5%, 3.5%. Usually we use like around 3%, right? And from the rates I've shown you, are you able to get that on your savings accounts and your money markets right now? No, so you're actually losing money every year, right? So what would you actually do if you were concerned about inflation? Is you would have to find something that was at least getting you that yield. And they're suggesting either a preferred stock or a very safe, they're called blue chip stocks. I don't expect you to know those words, but you couldn't have answered savings account or money market or CD because they're not paying that much. So you would have had to identify that you needed to look for some sort of instrument that at least was paying the rate of inflation. That's always coupled, what do you have to weigh that off against? Weigh that increased yield with? So I know I need to get at least, put in my savings account, I get 1.8%. I know I can't lose any principal. But that doesn't do me any good because I'm losing money every year that it inflates by 3%. So I put it in something that gets 3.5%. What have I done to get that extra amount of return? I'm taking more risk. Okay, it's the same answer every time. Risk-return relationship. And that should kind of hit you in that that's a dangerous place to be at as you get older because you don't want to take more risk. But if you park it somewhere really safe, you're actually losing money, right? There's a lot of projections that all of these massive tax cuts and the burgeoning debt, that a lot of this is going to come falling down mid to late next year. And that we have had really a run on our stock market ever since the Great Recession in 2008. We've been in a period of pretty much straight, something like, I can't even tell you how many quarters, 20-odd quarters of growth in the market. And that's a very dangerous place as you get older because you don't want to take that additional risk, do you?
Isn't 3% still pretty low, not very risky?
It's not very risky. It's not very risky, but clearly, if you can get 1.8% or 3.5%, you're definitely taking more risk to get the 3.5. It's still super miserable.
Yeah, but isn't it like 6, you said?
And so when we do planning for the long term, we assume that the stock market's done about 6.5%, 7% over the last 100 years. But that's not to say, like today, if I wanted to get 7% guaranteed a year, I would have to take some risk to do that because rates are so darn low.
I put an I-bond. Is that too long term?
What was the question? Yeah, an I-bond is a what? Can you explain what that is?
Well, I was just in the reading. It said it was like had inflation protection.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's insured with like the Treasury, and don't they kind of set the rate of inflation?
So they don't set the rate of inflation. That's a culmination of all the variables in the economy.
Gotcha.
But they set the rate for the I-bond.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they can kind of match it.
Yep. So that was a really good answer, Isaiah. They are I-bonds, would be a great answer for this. Those are Treasury bonds, in other words, bonds that the U.S. government has issued. And the interest rate vacillates with inflation. So that's a good protection. But they are long-term. They're not short-term.
So doesn't the Treasury kind of try to fluctuate inflation by like putting money onto the market, bringing money in?
They are one of the variables that impact inflation. They don't set it.
They just try to keep it in a certain range.
For example, right now, like what's going on in Venezuela is like 1/8 of the world's oil supply is now wrapped up under the Maduro-Gaella debacle, right? So what does that do to the price of petroleum internationally? Right? Puts upward pressure. What does that do to inflation in America? Puts upward pressure. So, I mean, there's a bazillion variables. This morning we woke up and saw that India and Pakistan have reignited a nuclear threat and have actually had some bombing missions into each other's countries. So that's extremely dangerous. So, I mean, there's a bazillion variables that go into what makes these things happen.
Would a money market mutual fund work for the short term?
A money market mutual fund is probably not going to pay you over the rate of inflation.
So, it said in the book, the MMDAs and the money mutual, that's what the answer of the book was. I'm pretty sure.
Money market depository accounts? Is that what you're saying? MMDA?
And mutual funds.
So that may be true when the book was written. This was 4 years ago. Money market accounts are not paying anywhere close to the rate of inflation now. I'll read these. I'll give you some some room on these because honestly there isn't exactly a right or wrong answer. I mean, well, there is. The right answer is you've got to at least invest in something that's equal to or greater than the rate of inflation. That's the right answer. And then the other thing is, you guys, if you're investing in something that's paying 3% and the rate of inflation is 3%, are you really break even? Why not, guys?
What's that?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Because your money's not increasing, so you're not getting interest.
Oh, it is. I'm earning 3%, but what do I have to pay on that 3%? Taxes. So you always have to earn more than that because you're taxed by then, right? So, okay. So why don't you just next to number 8, tell me how many you got right out of 3, and then I'll read number 9 and give you the total score. Okay, and then pass it on. Okay, last thing we need to do here, did I pass out another bank reconciliation project? You have that. Okay, let's take a quick look at that, just for a quick moment, and then,
Did you have to do Nancy before one?
sorry? One. Okay, did they have a folder on there? I got that back. Okay. Yeah, just pass those all down, please. And then I wanted to just to make sure that we are all feel comfortable with that we all feel comfortable with the check reconciliation. I wanted to just take a look at the other one that I gave you. So it's right there. Thank you. That is on. Grazie. That is on page, I believe, 161. Oh no, we did that one. Which one haven't we done? Carlos Perez for page 158. Okay, so we did we do the one for Perez? We didn't do the one for Campbell. Is that correct? Okay, so let's just take a look at page 161. This is going to be our second checking account reconciliation project. You did the one on page 158, and that was part of your homework, right? Help me get grounded. Okay, so this is another one just to practice, and it's not due per se, but I just want to jumpstart you on it and give you a quick couple seconds to start and at least get the bank and the checkbook accounts or amounts written in, and make sure that we all feel comfortable because you're definitely going to need to be able to do one of these on the next exam. And I just want to make sure I don't feel oftentimes that just doing something once is enough. So if we look on page 161, we've got another checking account. Caleb and Eva Campbell are college students. They've opened their first joint checking account on September 14th. They just received their first bank statement for the period ended October 5th, 2017. And the statement and the checkbook ledger are shown below. So I'm looking right here. The top looks to be the bank statement, and the bottom is where, and it goes over to page 162 as well, up here. It shows what they've got written in their checkbook ledger. So I'd like you to just take a couple seconds and enter in what you think the bank thinks that the Campbells have in their account and what they think they have in their account. And then we'll talk about where you're going with this, and I'm going to give you the check figure, and then you need to do this on your own for reinforcement. Okay?
Maybe 161 under the.
Sure.
Or the ones in the book outstanding.
Sorry?
You said all these ones in the book are outstanding.
No, you need to remember how you need to tick from the bank statement to the ledger to figure out which ones have cleared. Is that what you asked?
Yeah, like, are we writing the outstanding?
Well, I want you to just start by getting in the bank balance, what the bank says they have,
Oh,
and then what they think they have, and then we'll talk about process. Okay. Yes, sir.
Just a quick side question.
Sure.
Did you, the last reconciliation for when I was
sense, right? Because whenever you make a payment, first you have to calculate how much goes to interest, and then the balance always goes to principal, right? So when I go to make the second now between 214 and 228, what's my P? Is it still that 184? No, because I just paid it down again, didn't I?
Would they normally do interest monthly instead of?
It's always, you always get an APR. But what I'm trying to show here is to answer Casey's question is, what if I made, it doesn't work if you pay the balance in full, but what if I set up to, instead of waiting to make one big monthly check, because I get paid every 2 weeks. So let me just finish the example.
Well, I understand, I was just asking if it was common for there to be interest on every payment instead of just every month when your bill comes,
Yes, it is common.
but not always. So then why would you make more than a payment?
Well, I'm going to show you. So look at this. So just follow through with me here. So in this case, let me just go back here. In this case, in this example, I'm just on my old monthly schedule, $100 a month, right? So at the end of this month, I've made 2 payments. I borrowed the money here, I paid $100 here, and then I paid another $100 here, okay? How much, and I paid $3.08 of interest on this one, right? So how much principal did I pay down if I only paid once a month? 3.08. I should be able to do that. Right? $100. You always figure the interest first, the rest goes to principal.
I'm confused. Why are we using that?
Using,
That interest, the 308.
so I calculated that right here. That was my interest on my second payment.
Why?
Because I want to know, I'm trying to show the difference between what happens if you accelerate your payment schedule and pay more often than you have to. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing or a not matter thing? Can you tell me intuitively what you think it is? Is that a good thing, a bad thing, or it doesn't matter thing? The quicker I pay down my principal, the less my interest. Okay, I'm not going to take the time to finish the example, but do you see the point that if you're making, so even though my bank says to me you only have to pay $100 a month, if I get paid every other week, why wouldn't I just go slam $50 on it every other week? I'm paying the principal down faster. I'm reducing my interest. And mathematically, I'm always going to pay it off earlier. That's my point.
And then a little bit more on scale, I guess you could say, so about like $20,000.
Right. Well, that's what I said. Yeah. Once I kind of got into this example, it's like, okay, wow, you saved 26 cents. But I mean, it's significant. I will just anecdotally tell you, I've cut 8 years off of a 30-year mortgage by doing this. 8 years, which really at my stage of life impacts when I get to retire. I mean, it's huge. This right here, this making 2 payments a month, and also every time, you get a little bit of extra cash from whatever, you get a tax refund. It's like back to you got to do some nice things for yourselves, but like just putting those extra payments on your mortgage, it really can impact your whole life. And God willing, you're still healthy at my age, yeah, you get to retire 7 years early, yeah, Costa Rica's still there. But now I get to go for longer than 9 days. Okay, enough lecturing, but you get the point. All right, so what I need, what I want you to look at really quickly, because we have about 4 minutes left, is obviously this sounds like a big scary thing, but it really isn't. And the top, this is going to be looking to see if you have reasonable debt. The top is where you list all of your debt payments. So I'm going to give you a couple loans, and I want you to enter them in here. Okay? So I am a young person just out of school. And I have a roommate. There it is. And I've got a couple loans. I've got a car that works. So I went to Horizon Credit Union and I took out a car loan. And my payments are $262.39 a month. So that's not even some like amazing car. That's a used car, obviously. I've got 2 credit cards. I've got a store card, which means it's directly with an organization. Backcountry skier, I get all my gear at REI, I've got a store card there, and my payments are $40 a month. I also have a general credit card with United Airlines because I like to accrue miles. And I have an $85 a month payment on that. And lastly, I have a student loan with the Department of Education. And I pay $111 on that, a month on that. And the last 2 things I'm going to tell you, and I want you to fill out the first 2 parts of this for Monday, is my paycheck take home. And I get paid twice a month. And my roommate gives me $70 a week. So with this information and just following this form, go through number 3. So fill out through part 3. And then you should read, did I assign some reading out of chapter 6 yet? Okay. Definitely need to read that. This chapter can get mathematically a little challenging.
So her paycheck's bi-weekly?
She's got semi-monthly paycheck. She gets paid twice a month. Okay, so you're going to finish that check reconciliation for Campbell. You're going to do that. I gave you the check figure on it. You're not handing that in, but you need to do it so that you know how to do it. Okay. And then this through number 3, and then do your reading. And then next week we're going to really bust into the math. Just go through number 3. You're going to, yeah. We'll do 4 and 5 together.
Do you need to know interest on those loans?
Yeah.
You don't need to know that. We're just going to assess if she's got too much or too little debt, or too much debt.
Max, one other question.
Pardon?
If you have, so you do a $31 loan on your credit card or whatever.
Right. Balance.
If you pay $31 at the end of that period
Yeah.
versus paying $1 per day.
Same thing.
Same thing. But with this example up here,
The reason it was different is that I didn't pay the original $280 in total, which wasn't your question. Your question was what you just asked me.
yeah.
If I had $280 and I paid $280 at the end of the month or $140 twice, there's no difference. What I was illustrating here is just what Isaiah was saying, is like you've got a giant, like a mortgage, a $300,000 mortgage, and you take your $3,000 a month payment, split it in 2, you will knock years off of your loan.
And you can split it in 30 days. You could
They probably have a limit on how many extra principal curtailments you can make. But, and I think I shared with you guys, the banks are not crazy about this because it causes them more work and they earn less interest. Yes, sir.
I don't know if I wrote my name on my phone. I still.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, that's good luck. I don't know if that's good. Is your name on the state? Yeah. Okay.
So, I sent an email saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I know, I'm sorry for that.
So I don't specifically know how to drive, not that that's an excuse or anything about
Okay.
taxi job. I just don't really know how critical I don't even know if all this is right.
Okay, so this is,
I just have 70% in the tax.
okay,
I'm already
this is good.
behind.
This is good. I have to keep a level playing field. And remember the first 2 weeks I said my policies, but I worked with you the first couple of weeks.
Okay, I didn't say you were home.
Well, it's on the
So,
side.
okay.
It's on the side. So here's, the thing. I have 5 classes. Really busy, and also not always in like sales, okay, but, you know, like trying to, I have to keep a level playing field. Okay, no, don't be sorry, just, so, I would learn how to use your scanner.
Yeah. Yeah, no, is it like a scan down in the library?
Oh, yeah. There's a scanner in the library. Worst case scenario, if I have to take pictures and just JPEG.
I should have done that, yeah.
Or type it in to Word and send it to me. Anything you get like this is on Moodle. So
Yeah,
you
no,
would
I
have
saw
put
it, I
this
didn't know how to
document on
fill
the
it, but I
Moodle.
guess I could have printed it and then.
Yeah. Well, or you would have just saved it off of Moodle, right click on it, save it, and then just enter the numbers.
Awesome, thank you, Lisa. Sorry.
I mean, no, yeah, sorry. We just need to get on the same page. Okay?
I'll get it.
Okay.
This is super painful class to listen to this point, right?
Okay. Oh, you know,
I wish I'd known it.
but you know what, Dennis? I mean,
Hopefully somebody will pay attention and will save their ass someday.
I think it, but it's also, I mean, I am a huge believer, there is no too late.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know,
It would have been way